Amadedoja Salamadini. I live in Lagos, inside Lagos.
Okay, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Let's look at the efforts of our security personnel in relation especially to a critical national asset, crude oil. So, as you probably are aware, there's been a sort of renewed onslaught against crude theft, and that is going down well. There have been all sorts of activities in that sector. In fact, at one point, the Chief of Defense Staff was visiting with the NNPC General Managing Director, Mr. Kiari. So that's what we'll talk about today, and the results of this, and what the prognosis is as we are going forward. We would like to remove the scourge altogether, but we'll be hearing from the experts how doable that is. Two guests this morning. We got Engineer Nuruddin. He's not a fresh face. Engineer Nuruddin Hamanyero is a retired naval officer and security consultant, and we're glad to have you back again. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Uncle Yori.
Indeed. I'm sure I'll hear you better, but I did hear that you responded. That, I'm sure, will improve as we go on with the program. We also will be having Tony Dania on the program. Tony Dania is a maritime lawyer and policy analyst. Okay. I know, Engineer Nuruddin, from the last time we spoke, that you're not exactly a fan of other non-state actors coming in on our security as it relates to these national assets. You were critical of it last time, saying that we have the resources. So what is going on? Why are things such that Tantita, for example, it is still featuring prominently? I know that is not necessarily anything against Tantita. Excuse me, but let me ask, give me your appraisal of efforts in this direction, this renewed onslaught against oil theft, crude oil thefts.
Thank you very much, Uncle Yori. I would like to make it clear because my last statement about the Tantita is not in denial of the help Tantita provides to the security architecture. But I am of the concern that the Nigerian government invests so much heavily on our security apparatus. Hence, the needs for them to do what is right and not to hand over the entire security activities to Tantita. Tantita being managed by previous militants or warlords, now that they have repented and wants to be part of the development of the country, and the country has also done so much to address some of the issues in the Niger Delta, I'm sure they have the native intelligence, they have the societal, support of their people to partner with these security architectures in seeing that they address some of the issues in the general area, because whatever information they bring has to be a first-hand information that will help the security architecture in performing or discharging their duties. However, my concern is handing the entire situation to Tantita, is indirectly saying the much more the Nigerian government invests on the security architecture is in vain, and our security apparatus is not effective. And this is not good for a country of estimately 300 million, people in population, and it is not good for the security at large. But again,
yes, I understand. Sorry to interrupt you. I understand exactly the way you have explained it. I understand. But the part where I doubt, very much doubt, if the entire duty has been handed over to a private concern. surely it's a matter of collaboration. And you used the word, I believe, just now. It's a matter of partnering with, bringing to it what they can. After all, they were responsible for the arresting of, the name escapes me now, but a craft, a vessel laden with stolen crude oil. And our defense chiefs, the managing director, the NNPC bigwigs, everybody was there to both inspect and interrogate some of those crews. All of this only recently. So yes, I understood you the first time, and I understood you again this morning when you made the clarification that what you're against is the handing over of the entire security operation. I don't think you are in a better position as a consultant yourself. I don't think our security people would do that or are doing that.
No, I want you to understand the Nigerian people will have to understand where we missed it, Uncle Yori. We missed it long ago. If you look at oil discovery in Nigeria, 1956, almost 70 years today, late 70s down to early 80s, oil bunkering, oil theft started in the Niger Delta. And this was the military era of General Obasanjo and late General Murtala Mohammed, down to the Second Republic, which was Shagari's era. Now, if you look at this period that the oil theft started in the Niger Delta, what happened when we embrace democracy that most Nigerians today, especially the youth, will be looking at is the Fourth Republic. And the same General Obasanjo, who has the experience of oil theft, perhaps during his era, was the first president in the Fourth Republic, 1999. And what did he do? If you look at the first achievement, one of the first achievements of President Obasanjo's time in 1999 was the establishment of the Niger Delta Development Commission. And this commission was established in 2000, Uncle Yori. Nigerians need to be abreast of all these facts so that we know where we are getting it wrong. Immediately when the NDDC was established, what happened? They were saddled with the responsibility of educating and training, the youths, which are the majority, in terms of demography in the Niger Delta, so that they will engage these youths and consequently they will do away with these dirty acts of vandalizing pipelines, oil theft, and that will allow the federal government maximize production and in turn help our economy. But how many years today down the line, Uncle Yori? 24 years is what we are talking about. 24 years. And monies that were invested in NDDC is getting to 10 trillion naira, according to records. And immediately, when late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua took over, he complemented that effort of President Obasanjo by establishing the Ministry of Niger Delta. We should complement the NDDC by bringing about infrastructural gap development, environmental protection, and still the NDDC does its job as a subsidiary under the ministry. But what did we see? Again, Niger Delta Amnesty was also established. These are very solid three organizations that should have worked together, provide employment, complement the effort of the state governors, and address most of these pressing issues. And let me tell you, if you look statistically, Uncle Yori, Nigerians, we should be abreast, like I said, with all this information. It's good for us knowing where we are, where we come from, and how we go forward. Because population in the Niger Delta is about 30 to 35 million today. And the teeming youth population is about 60 to 65%. And if you take that into record, you have about 20 million. And if you look at the investment that the federal government has made so far from 1999 to date, ordinarily, if we had done justice to this, no youth in Niger Delta should have been idle, because they should have been trained adequately in all facets of life. They should have been employed in one way or the other. And by today, they will be useful to the society. But because we missed it with leadership, we missed it with using the right people to steer the activities of those organizations, today, 24 years later, we are still running back to the federal government, complaining about oil theft. And this is just one aspect of it. We need to look at the people of the Niger Delta. I sympathize so much with their condition because I cannot pinpoint a particular country in the whole world where oil was discovered side by side. Bayelsa, where oil was discovered, is in Nigeria. Today, almost 70 years, and the region is as undeveloped, you know, like the Niger Delta. That is wrong. It's unacceptable. We need to do so much about it. But internally, we need to question our leaders. We need to hold them to account, because me and you, just of recent, we know what happened. Because of accountability, we saw leaders of the NDDC and even in the ministry fainting in the national media because they could not bring to account the expenditure or misappropriation of the funds allotted to the Niger Delta Development Commission. So what I'm saying, in essence, this is one way. And how can that be addressed? The president needs to bring his renewed hope strategy onto these organizations to bear. Right people should be used on board, irrespective of their party affiliations. I'm sure today, if they had used a competent person in the Niger Delta to have set a very good pace, by now we will be talking about even bringing people from other regions to come and train, because we have exhausted training youths and engaging them in one way or the other in our Nigerian economy from the Niger Delta. Not to be struggling with the same youths, because if you look at how many old people go to the creeks to vandalize our pipelines or steal oil, engage in oil theft? How many? It's the youths that are doing it. And why do they do that, Okuyori? You know, there is nothing to do. And idle mind, you know, like we said, is the devil basket. So this is just one way. When you give me another time, I will explain to you my concern about the security aspect of it, which is also very, very important. And we need to understand this is one way. So if I were the president, to address this issue of oil theft, I don't even need a gun to start with. I just need the re-engagement of the traditional institutions, the youth, you know, and then this organization, I will have to make sure they do their functions as mandated or enshrined in the act that establishes them. Not that they convert it to a money-making venture for the elites that seek to undermine those areas. That is just what the president should be doing, and it is good for the people of Niger Delta. It will be good for our economy.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Engineer Nuruddin, because you've actually, towards the end of that, you sort of, you're astride of where I was going to go. Some of the things you said, because I was going to ask you what your assessment is of the efforts of this administration. Clearly, you have established that we missed it, that we have missed it, and it's not been in recent times. So, and if you were to ask observers, watchers of the scenario, of this situation, experts, security experts, naval experts, and all of that, I guess some of them, depending on where they happen to be camped, quote unquote, would say that, well, the administration is doing all that it can. It's doing the best that it can, which would have led me to say, consider that idea and tell me your impression. Because here we are talking about a renewed onslaught against oil theft. So it's not as if we've given up. You've just been speaking about personnel, for instance, is very, very, very important. The right round pegs and round holes and all of that. Are those the areas where you have your concerns that no matter the assets we throw at it, how about the personnel? How about the expertise? Is that where your concern is for us not having the results you so clearly would have wished that we have had so far?
Uncle Yodi, I want you to understand, and Nigerians, yes, the issues of security, like we always agree, that will not be discussed in isolation. And if we come back to the security aspect of it in totality, having addressed having looked at what I said earlier, I believe you me, today, if you look at the military, if you look at other critical, players in the industry, there is a conflict of interest. There's
Okay.
a conflict of interest because you get to see duplication of roles. You know, you get to see conflict in the manner we handle our responsibilities. No two ways about it. The Nigerian Navy is elite. Is elite in the industry. Whatever you are going to do in the maritime sector, as it concerns maritime security, no matter how strong the organization is, the Navy will naturally take a lead. But today,
Indeed.
what happened? You get to see a lot of duplication of responsibility. The NIMASA are doing their best, but they should understand that they can never be, a combat arm of the maritime sector to fight this. They need, I'm sure yes, they are doing their best in collaboration with the Navy. And also the NSCDC, who are in charge of the critical asset security. But again, we need this synergy. We need this understanding, which has to be, highlighted clearly by the federal government, that these are the roles and of all these players, and there should not be conflict, because this conflict is affecting the responsibility. It's affecting the result we are seeing today. Now, let me go straight to the point saying this.
Actually, I beg your pardon, Engineer Nuruddin. You will indeed have the opportunity to extend it, but I got what you're saying, especially that area about the Navy necessarily has to take the lead, and your apprehensions that might that particular role be being diminished as we are going along. I hear that. Now, I was saying from the beginning that we will be joined by Tony Dania. Barrister Dania is a maritime lawyer and a policy analyst. Tony, thank you very much for coming.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Appreciate your coming on. And you've been in for a minute, for some minutes, and you've actually heard some of the direction and the concerns of my guest, Engineer Nuruddin Hamanyero.
Yes.
You heard the nature of his concerns. He had explained that he has nothing against bringing in other people, but the Navy needs to be able to take the lead. And I think the key words are be able to take the leads. And I wonder if it was just my reading or my understanding, he seems to have his apprehensions in that regard, which is not yielding for us the maximum, shall we say, gain that we could have had in the security sector. Now, I wonder what your impression is about this whole matter about private firms, for instance, who have seemed to record some measures of success coming in. And indeed, do you agree that the Navy is not doing all that it should be doing?
Yes, I agree that the Navy is not doing all that it should be doing. But we must take note of the issues they are faced with. They can't come out to complain. And then when you say privatization, it is the private persons that can operate better. For example, if you give me the refinery that have been moribund for so many years, I can turn it around. So it takes a private person to manage these things better.
The private sector person.
Private sector person. So this, for instance, Navy in the comfort of their office ought to be able to monitor the waters. Do they have the equipment? Even if there is an arrangement to, provide that equipment, corruptions and the rest that are inherent in every aspect of our life will definitely affect it. They need it. But I'm aware that some private persons who have been in the industry for some time, they have such equipment. It is not difficult to get, And then...
so sorry, it's those last few words. It's not exactly difficult to get. And if I were to paraphrase that, you could have also said that it's not exactly rocket science. So what is the problem then? Because this is what the ordinary Nigeria, it's a sentiment he's reluctant to express openly. But if it isn't rocket science, and if, quote unquote, equipment is not hard to get, what has been hampering us so that, as Engineer Nuruddin is complaining, we're still talking about oil thefts almost 30 years after?
Uncle Yori, let me quickly tell you that The world is evolving, it's dynamic. But the Navy seems to be interested in areas that will bring some money. Up till now, if you want naval clearance...
Money for the naval...
No, corrupt enrichment.
Oh, dear.
If you opt at this time, it has refused to go on electronic methods of transactions. If you want naval clearance for ship-to-ship or any other operation, you will have to go physically to the Navy. The same thing, customs, marine, but they are trying to change it now, where you can sit in your office and apply. If you reduce the interface, you will reduce corruption and you will speed up operations. We don't still have it. Then the equipment I talked about, there are some private persons that have it. For example, I'm aware Dangote has it because I was among those consulted.
Okay.
Where from the comfort of the Dangote refinery, they can see not less than 500 miles away. In the comfort of your office. Then, do you know that technologically, you can install certain devices in some edges of the pipeline carrying petroleum products, such that if any person puts anything on it, maybe to cut it or anything, you will know.
Instantly.
And you will be able to trace it to that point. What is wrong with we getting it? Corruption. That is where, sorry to digress a little bit, I want to blame Dangote, who knew that the mafia in the oil is more than the mafia in the drug world, who has been in business for so long. Sometimes you think these people, they know everything. But with due respect, they don't. You don't need to start sounding the way he has been sounding. You are sending warnings to corrupt persons in the oil sector. If, for instance, I just told you of the pipeline, it can be monitored. I told you they have equipment that can see far.
That's right.
And I'm telling you now that when he said his product has a device that will monitor its movement, he ought not to have said that openly.
Oh, dear.
When subsidy was removed...
Well, the man was under pressure, as you
know.
No! All sorts of pressures were on.
No. If you are going to monitor a product, that is left for you.
Okay.
When subsidy was removed, did you know that consumption rate of petroleum product dropped with almost 50%? Recently, it has risen when the borders were opened.
Yeah.
Why? Because some people are still selling it despite the price increase and without prejudice to what the masses are going through. Whatever we are going through here, I am still telling you the truth. I hope Nigeria will be better. Relatively, Nigeria is still the best place to stay.
Okay.
Relatively. Now, we thought with the closure of the border, employing private security, empowering Navy. No. Put things in place that will make it impossible for those who are stealing to steal. If you have that thing on the pipeline, you can't touch, and if one person touches pipeline, it's traced.
Yeah, my problem, though, is that there are scientists in the Navy. There are engineers, technicians, and all of these people. You look at that capability, you just said that there actually is equipment that can see, 500 miles away. Yes. That no doubt will have to do with satellites, I imagine, if you are going to stay here and be seeing what is approaching you from 500 miles away and all of that kind of a thing. So they exist is the assertion that you are making. And it won't be news to the experts within the Navy. So the problem comes back to, and so what is our problem, Nigeria? What is our problem? And both you and engineer, Nuruddin have said that it's this whole corruption. Although you have said it, quite plainly. The engineer Nuruddin has not gone as far, but he probably sees it from that point of view as well. Let me just check that. Engineer Nuruddin, where are you on all fours with what Barrister Tony is saying?
100%, Uncle Yori. 100%, I agree with Barrister Dania with respect to the deployment of technology, state-of-the-art equipment in managing some of these assets. I agree with him 100%. My concern here is I always want us to look at things especially when they are becoming, unbecoming from the root cause. Like we just highlighted how the whole thing started and where we are today. On the other side, Uncle Yori, these professionals you just mentioned, engineers in the Navy, scientists, technicians, most of these guys are professionals even before they joined the Navy. And today, they are in the Navy or whatever unit of the security they are serving, but particularly in the armed forces who have, roles as enshrined in our constitution. They have the policing roles, they have the diplomatic role like the Navy. Our policing roles in the Navy is practically what the police does on land, is what the Navy is supposed to be doing in our open waters and even within the creeks with the support of the Army and other security agencies because of our inadequate, having personnel that are not enough to man. That's why you see at the back end of this, in our backwaters, the Army are there to complement with the amphibious department, the Marine Police, the NSCDC, and the rest like we earlier mentioned. But again, the root cause I'm talking about, these personnel you mentioned that are supposed to help in managing this situation, they have what I have highlighted to you the last time here, an issue. And we have to look at this thing critically, and the president has to understand there's a decision for him to take if at all we are going to solve this problem. These guys have been frustrated. These guys have been abused. These guys have been, relegated.
You're talking about naval personnel now.
Yes.
Yes.
You're talking about naval personnel.
Not just the Navy. And the armed forces in general, Uncle Yori, not just naval personnel. They have been abused, these professionals that join the armed forces. They come in their commission. It's very important we talk about this thing. They come in their commission as professionals, as either short service combatant or direct short service commission or direct entry or whatever you call it, or special duty commission. Whatever it is we call it, they come in as professionals. But over time, the services, we have a tradition which is archaic, and that is why even in our reality, we refuse to shift and develop this country because we like to maintain traditions that seek to, relegate some Nigerians and make them second or third class citizens.
Similar to bureaucracy. Is it similar to the bureaucracy?
Absolutely, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Just give me a minute to make my point. These people they join the service.
Okay, I was going to say, so sorry about that, because you, Barrister Tony, you had just said that...
it is beyond bureaucracy.
Beyond bureaucracy.
Yes. It is beyond bureaucracy.
Because people...
For example, you are a professional, you are in one of the security services, and you come up with a very fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And somebody will tell you, no, that will not bring us money. I give example with myself. A state consulted me, and they have about 10 moribund speedboats for security of the water. Mm-hmm. And they said, we are going to earmark 100 million each to rehabilitate each boat. And innocently, I said, no, with 150 million, you can rehabilitate 2 boats and maintain it and run it for 3 months. They were trying to monitor the water.
In a consultative session.
In a consultative session. And guess what? They didn't pay my hotel bills. They didn't pay my flight. I have to live there. Now, on a serious note, Uncle, you see...
So that's the reward for that kind of advice.
So that's why I said it's beyond bureaucracy. Sorry to digress. Before the Nigerian police headquarters was bombed by the Boko Haram, I was among the few. I'm a lawyer, but I knew that you receive phone calls through the transmission of frequency. And you go to some area, you can't receive some call because your frequency is jammed. You'll be blaming network. So that means there's a device that can prevent frequency from getting to you. Yes. And then the improvised explosive devices are detonated by remote control, which means the movement of frequency. That was what I thought of. And we started consulting. And we got somebody in the US. And then, they took us to Bulgaria. That's where it is produced. In Bulgaria. It's not US. The US have bought them over. And now, I was told the amount we can buy. There's this mobile bomb jammer. I don't want to describe it for security reasons. That goes with important personality, ministers, president. There are some that are stationed at the airport. You don't know, but because I have this I've had to train in that area. And then the amount the police claimed to have bought that thing is about 800%
of the actual
amount. We couldn't invest there because of the requirement for a huge fund. So corruption is a very serious factor. Now let me come to something. Sorry, Uncle Yeri.
Please, indeed, I'll apologize back to you because I've got to go on a break, and I owe both you and Engineer Nuruddin Hamanyero. So please stay with us. I'll go on a break. I know I still have to come back to you too, Engineer Hamanyero, and indeed Tony. Thank you very much. We'll be right back. Stay with us, please.
The Inspector General of Police has met with senior officers to review the state of security.
We are continuing our coverage of the arrest of Godwin Emefiele.
The Senate has summoned the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria to properly brief the Senate regarding the state of the economy.
What I will never take.
Let's now bring you more development from Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, where an explosion has taken place. Tell us about this incident.
TVC News, first with breaking news.
Well, welcome back. Tony Dania in studio here, maritime lawyer, policy analyst, and engineer Nuruddin Hamanyero. He's a retired naval officer and a security consultant. He is in our Abuja studio. This conversation is sort of spreading out into, some sort of areas, and maybe we'll touch on them because our subject matter is a renewed onslaught against oil theft. And that's really what our topic is, and what you think about that. And when I was, quote-unquote, threatening that it might spill out into other areas, we have had oil experts and economists say to us, what's going on? The sums simply don't add up, for example, and this is part of spreading out. The sums don't add up. If people are buying fuel in certain places in Nigeria now via NNPC at 855 naira or something like that, they say, actually, it shouldn't be because NNPC is landing it at much more than that. So what is going on? Is there subsidy? Is there not subsidy? But as I said, I just had to relate to what I meant when I said that this might spread out into other areas, seeing as we're looking at renewed onslaught against oil theft. But you had wanted to explain further, Engineer Nuruddin. Now is your opportunity.
Uncle Yori,
Yes.
I'm trying to explain to Nigerians, what is affecting the security of our pipeline, what is affecting, the production of oil, because we are supposed to be, remember, 70% of our IGR comes from oil. And if we can't maximize this production, then we cannot guarantee, the revenue generation. And to maximize this production of oil, it means we need to secure this pipeline and prevent them from being vandalized and oil being stolen. Now, how do we do that? Security has to be adequate. Security has to be adequate in the sense that we need to use state-of-the-art equipment, just like the way it is all over the world, especially in oil-producing areas. Mind you, we are 13th in terms of oil production, according to OPEC analysis. And we are 10th in terms of crude oil reserve in the whole world. But how can you put that side by side with what is obtainable with our peers all over the world? Which country on earth that has the dynamics of Nigeria, population and mineral resources that today you can equate with what is going on in Nigeria? Nowhere, Uncle Yori. Nowhere. We need to understand these things. And what I'm trying to explain to Nigerians is what is affecting this security is that personnel who are supposed to be doing this job, I said it the last time, and I mean it, and the president has to look into this, are not properly taken care of. They have been neglected. Do you know that just of recent, I think 2 days ago, about 1,000+ personnel are resigning from the armed forces? And it's so unfortunate that I saw somebody on the national television saying most of them are going on health ground, some of them family. There is no way 1,000 people will apply to leave the service. They have been adequately trained. The federal government has spent a lot of resources, and their duty is protection of our national asset and security. You will just live in the midst of their career. You know there is something wrong, and that thing has to be investigated. And that is the part I am more concerned, because a lot of people are still in the pipeline to leave, and we must investigate this matter and reject the armed forces and free it like the way it is obtainable over the world, all over the world, so that personnel will live their life, enjoy the service, and dedicate their services to Nigeria, you know, so that we will get to start seeing the dividend of people who have, you know, pledged to serve this country, and not that in return they will be victimized for any reason. That is my part, and we have to be discussing this line because it is affecting everything. Mind you, today, this security aspect we are talking about on Kuliori affected agriculture, affects education, it affects every sector. Today, people don't go to school because of insecurity. People don't go to their farms because of insecurity. Left alone, the oil that every Nigerian is looking at.
Engineer Nuruddin, I hear you. Indeed, Barrister Tony, the conversation has taken a curious turn, because with a subject matter such as renewed onslaught against oil theft, one would have thought that we'll be talking largely about improvements in engagements, in technology, in equipment. And here you two gentlemen who actually know, you know, can enrich our understanding about this whole matter. I'm almost getting the impression that, look, there are forces that don't want the subject matter of our conversation this morning to actually work, to see the light of day. What renewed onslaught against oil theft? That is going to spoil things for a lot of sectors, it seems to be. Engineer Nuruddin has explained it from the point of view of that there are people who are queuing up to leave the service, the security services, and is implying, if not stating directly, that this is as a result of their seeing that it's not going to work with this kind of arrangement that we have. And you've made some, you know, assertions as well that some things have been said publicly that needn't have been said in relation to how we are going about against, again, the subject matter of this conversation. Oh, yeah?
Uncle Yori, renewed onslaught on oil theft. Engineer is correct in view of the personnel of our security agencies. But again, the issue is corruption. You know why I keep saying this? Mm-hmm. We have some men who are facing Boko Haram. If you have opportunity of talking to them, talk to them. Some of them are not being paid. Then, the president cannot be everywhere.
Yeah.
If he makes you a minister, do your work. If you have an idea that will improve your ministry, bring it forward if you need approval. We were commending some ministries here the last time I came here, which means they are doing well. So the Minister for Defense, the Chief of Defense Staff, and the Army Chief and all that, what are they doing? If I am a young officer, I have an idea that will improve, and my Oga, all he's doing is how to acquire land, how to buy more cars, how to marry more wives, my idea will not sound good to him. And your guy is doing this because his own previous Oga did almost the same thing.
You know, this is very, this is very curious. I'm sure it might be curious to a lot of viewers as well who are listening to us, that whereas you think of those kind of things, if you must think about them at all, in relation, fairly or unfairly, to politicians. Yes. But not professional servicemen, is the notion that most people would have.
It is the politicians that direct the affairs of the country. Is it not the president, elected civilian? The ministers are civilians. And every aspect of our activities revolve around the ministry.
And
Ministry for Marine, in charge. Ministry for Marine and Blue Economy, for instance.
These are all civilians.
It's interfused. You know, we have the oil is in that ministry, even though we have the Ministry of Energy and all that. Marine, the customs are there, but the customs is under the Ministry of Finance and all that. So you see, I will come back. The issues we are discussing, we are not digressing. We are saying that we should look for new method of doing things. I refer to Dangote.
So you've not seen anything new so far?
I've not. And I know new methods that can be deployed. The problem is Dangote refinery, the owner ought to play less on, because the people involved in the line of directives for Dangote to come to the market are feeling threatened. They felt threatened. A lot of government people are involved. Is going to expose them. But so if I were Dangote, I will concentrate on the oil coming out. I will leave a lot of other issues. For instance, I analyze it here in TVC, that Dangote coming in is likely to have positive impact on the pump price. Because one, you are no longer talking about a vessel that will carry crude oil from outside to you. You have the crude oil here.
Is that a universally desired objective?
How?
That is, is everybody interested in what you just said? I certainly know that the ordinary man in the street certainly is interested in bringing down the pump price. And so the
things that will affect the pump price if Dangote starts selling is what I'm saying.
Yes.
He's saving cost on a lot of areas. And
it's having happy impact. With that?
No, you see, the thing is that it is people who are enlightened, people like engineer, myself, yourself, that will know some of these things. Now, what the man in the market on the street want is fuel. I can afford it. You understand? Don't forget that we have also said that introducing alternative to fuel is also very good. Federal government has introduced gas, which we have in abundance. People are now using solar. There are other methods. If it comes up, the dependent on petrol will be reduced. Now, I'll give you an example. I have an idea. If you talk of water hyacinth, for instance, go to almost all the agencies. I'm saying this openly. Check their budget. You will see where they say they are vacating hyacinth. If you look at it, on the same channel, when I say channel, the water route, where it is blocking navigation.
Water hyacinth is this,
those routes on the
those water, weeds on the
and
water.
They can affect navigation.
Yes, yes.
So you see that we have Limasa, we have MPA, we have Shippers Council, we have Inland Waterways and others. Even the Ministry of Agri for Fishery, they will tell you, Calabar channels, we have vacated it. Go and check others. Even the maritime sector of the NLG, they will tell you, you will find at the same geographical location. He said to have been vacated, high water hyacinth have been vacated in the same, by almost the same agency, and they will collect money from it. Now I have an idea that will make that water hyacinth to be vacated on its own, free of charge, and people will make money from it. So you no longer need to pay to vacate it. People will now know how to make money from it. That's exactly what they are doing in Singapore. Water hyacinth is a gold mine. We are not exploiting that. There are a lot of other areas we are not similar. There are a lot of other areas we are not also exploiting. We are training cadets. Show me one ship. I criticized Dr. Jabu when he was in Nimasa. Show me one ship that we have for training. We don't have. We are hiring. We have university, maritime university. But show me the ship they have for training.
Let me see if Mr. Yakub is still there. Mr. Yakub, thank you very much for holding on.
Yeah, I'm still there.
Oh, apologies. Due apologies. Thank you very much.
Good morning to your guests. I think I give kudos to both of them that spoke very well. Chijoli, let me start when your guest said something earlier concerning the presidency, that if a minister is not do the work that you assign to him, as a president, what you need to do is to fire the person, because you were the one that employed in the first place, not Nigerian citizens voting for them. You were the one thinking that it can do a good job, and then if the good job is not done, the next thing is to just fire him and let him or her go. Let me give you a typical example here, Chifiori, and then I'm saying this. I know that give me 1 or 2 minutes to think what I have to say this one because it's
Okay.
an opportunity given to me this
Okay.
one. Chief Jolly, let me give you a typical example here. Concerning the energy, I'm talking about PHCN now. Now, you know there's a band A, band B, band C. What are those things mean? Let me say this. Chief Jolly, like 10, 11 years ago, some of us, I repeat, some of us bought a meter at rate of some certain amount of money. Our own personal money, we used to buy that meter, and then they never pay. They withdraw all those meters from us, telling us that it's outdated without replacing it. Chief Jolly, what are they running? You can imagine the country we find ourselves. And then when we ask them, where is the new meter? What they told us is that we should use another money, almost 100-something thousand, to buy another one.
It was scandalous, I remember.
Now, Chief Jolly, we are talking about energy here. If Dangote refinery, as it is now, today, the refinery has started working, and then if the petroleum of Dangote coming to the market now, Chief Jolly, I can tell you for free, if there's no any technology to monitor all those tankers, the petroleum of Dangote refinery find himself in Niger, he find himself in Cameroon, and even up to Cote d'Ivoire, because the security agencies that we say that they should monitor, they will be collecting money. One of your guys talking about corruption. Corruption has eaten deep down in Nigerian citizen blood. Except some of people, we still have a very good people that if you give them something to do, they will do it with sense of responsibility. So, Chief Jolly, what I'm trying to say in essence is that we need technology to monitor all those things. With that technology, if it is human being, forget it. They are going to shorten Nigerian citizens. Thank you and God bless you, sir.
Thank you very much. Once again, sorry for keeping you waiting.
You see, technological method of protecting assets is in vogue all over the world. I don't know why
we are lagging.
Let me quickly
behind.
tell you, the last Soil Olympic in UK, the last Olympic in UK, in London, isn't it 1996 or so? I've forgotten the year. Do you know that this powerful telescopic device, Nigerians were among those that invented that. They were among the teams. And it was first deployed during that UK Olympic. If you see, there were no much security men on the ground. They were monitoring everything. They can pick you from the crowd.
So they were keeping a pace of technological possibilities.
So they can pick you from the crowd and inspect. So now, do you know that you can monitor your oil? Dangote is saying it. Everybody thought that they were surprised. No, it's been on. There was a time we suggested it to the federal government, and we thought they were going to do it. Where if you steal our crude oil, wherever you take it to, we know.
All right.
So, but the problem I have here is that Dangote knows a level of corruption. He knows that if he says such a thing, because if it brings out, people are waiting to negatively exploit it and send it out, just like the last caller said. But he shouldn't have mentioned it. It is your own business if you monitor how your products are moving. But don't forget that statistics, we rely on statistics from government, but it is tampered with, it is compromised sometimes on the movement and consumption of oil, particularly PMF, petroleum product, in Nigeria.
But you know, this whole, thank you very much. Engineer Nuruddin, this whole oil theft, onslaught against oil theft that we're talking about, there are aspects to it. On the one hand, there's the whole technical aspect of extracting the product itself. Then the economists take over. Since you have to make it work, you can't use it the way it is. And then costs are added on top and all of that. And I was listening to some economists speaking and saying that the truth of the matter here that is not commonly known to all Nigerians is that the figures don't work out if indeed subsidy has been removed. Some people in Lagos, depending on the petrol station, were able to buy at around 850-something naira. Now, we are hearing from people who would know economic intelligence that the landing cost of fuel is in, north of 1,000 naira. Maybe it's 1,050, 1,100, that kind of a thing. So how can you be selling? So there seems to be a lot that is not commonly known. And I don't know the extent to which this is hampering efforts. But as I say, let me repeat again that we thought we were coming to hear about about innovations in this whole onslaught against oil theft. But what we seem to be hearing about from both you gentlemen who are experts is that there are impediments. There are actually impediments on the path of, an onslaught, an effective onslaught on oil theft. Did I summarize that, accurately, Engineer Nuruddin? That there are impediments to a successful onslaught against oil theft?
Yes, Uncle Yori. This is because we are trying to look at things as the way they are supposed to be looked at, so that we don't get to miss it again. And it is very, very important. And this is what I thought and what I think the renewed hope should be. And if you look at it, yesterday, the president of Pengassan, who is the president of the TUC, mentioned, and he was specifically clear about this price of fuel. He said he needs the federal government, they need, as a union, the federal government should give them a special price for their union, just like the way it has given a special price of the dollar to the Dangote refinery. And he knows that because it was done previously, and that has affected positively the price of fuel in the market. And he thinks if that is done again, it will seriously bring down the cost of fuel in the market and it will become affordable. This is one hand. Okay. On the other hand, I would like to wrap it by saying using the right people to do the right thing. Uncle Yori is very, very essential. And that is why I keep emphasizing every time on sincerity. Because if you look at our Minister of Defense currently sitting on seat, has been indicted by Zagazola. Zagazola is a counterinsurgency expert, of the Lake Chad and West African region, who clearly stated, and he said he has fact with video on the fraternization of the Minister of Defense with bandits, to the extent of providing them vehicles. So if we have people like this at the helm of affairs, how do we expect synergy? How do we expect to be seeing good result for Nigeria? So to be honest with you...
We're going to have to leave it here. I beg your pardon, Engineer Nuruddin, I'm sure you understand. We have completely run out of time. Not only that, we're actually also overrunning. But I want to thank you very much, Engineer Nuruddin Hamanyero, retired naval officer and, a security consultant. Thank you very much for coming on the program. As indeed, we extend our appreciation to Tony Dania as well, maritime lawyer and policy analyst. There's a lot, really, that you gentlemen contributed to sort of expanding our understanding of what actually is going on that is not commonplace out there. Thank you both, gentlemen. And we're going to have to leave it there. This is a topic we've not heard the last of. We'll be back on it, I'm sure, sometime. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folari. Bye-bye for now.
For all the football you want, starting from 5,100 Naira per month.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV.
Tired of pans that scratch and stick, or cookware that takes up valuable space in your kitchen? Introducing ShopX Gotham Hammered Copper Collection, the perfect cookware to upgrade your cooking experience. The Gotham Hammered Copper Collection features a super durable ultra non-stick surface. Eggs stick to other pans, but with the Hammered Copper Collection, they slide right out. Incredible! It's oven safe, up to 500 degrees. Any recipe can be made in these pans, and then it wipes clean with ease. Make mouth-watering jollof rice or even fluffy pounder with ease, because nothing sticks.
I needed a cookware to keep up with me. The Gotham Hammered Collection has been a game changer. No more burnt meals or hours spent scrubbing pots.
You would normally pay up to 400,000 naira for the 10-piece Gotham Hammered collection, but call the number on your screen now or scan the QR code and get the entire collection for not 350,000 naira, not even 300,000 naira, but for just 264,950 naira. Incredible! This incredible ShopX offer includes one 8.5 inches fry pan, one 10.25 inches fry pan, one 1.4 liter saucepan, one 2.4 liter saucepan,